Hey guys, this is Illusion PODFIC, and today we're going to be reading The Right Substitution is Key by Addicted Apples. This is Chapter 3. Jason Todd was currently patrolling as Batman. Not with Batman, as Batman. He still couldn't really wrap his head around it, even as he and Robin continued to cut through the skies of Gotham. They'd foiled 4 muggings and an armed robbery already. It all felt too natural. Fighting beside the new Robin and watching his back felt natural. Putting on the Bat voice felt natural. Hearing Alfred and Oracle over the comms felt natural. It shouldn't. None of this should feel natural. He hated how easy it was. There had been moments when Robin would defer to him before he seemed to remember that the person next to him wasn't actually Batman. So at least Jason wasn't the only one whose mind was being fucked with by this whole experience. "Looks like Catwoman is making an appearance tonight," Oracle reported over comms. "She just stole a piece from the new Egyptian exhibit." "Hell no," Jason said, breaking character for a moment. "No way I'm talking to Catwoman while dressed like this. I know what the Bat and her got up to on these rooftops, and I am not touching that with a 10-foot pole." Jason was pretty sure he wasn't supposed to hear the startled laugh his comment drew from Barbie. "You may not have a choice," Oracle said, pretending she hadn't also just broken character. "Catwoman is heading your way. ETA 30 seconds. "Shit. Would you judge me if I find a place to hide?" "Very much so, yes." "You know what? I'm willing to live with that." "Hood," Robin protested. "She's committing a crime. You've got to stop her." Jason shot Robin a flat look. "Think about who you just said that to, then try again. I'll wait." Robin rolled his eyes hard enough that Jason could sense it through his domino. "You're Batman right now, and Batman would at least attempt to get the artifact back." Jason opened his mouth to protest, but he was cut off by Oracle's sharp "incoming." Catwoman dropped into the roof in front of them, bag of golden goodies swinging in her hand. "You're back," she purred. "I was starting to worry." She said it flippantly, but Jason could tell there was genuine worry behind her statement. Jason tried not to feel guilty as he slipped into Batman's usual demeanor. He crossed his arms. "Return the artifact, Catwoman." "Why don't you make me?" she said with a wink and a swish of her hips. Jason threw up in his mouth a little. His almost stepmom was flirting with him. Gross, 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 gross. It didn't help that he could hear Barbie quietly sniggering over comms. Jason managed to turn his disgust into a Batman-like grunt. "Not in front of Robin. He's just a child." "I'm 15!" Catwoman laughed and tossed her bag over to them. Jason caught it and chanced to look inside to verify that the artifact was there. It was. "I was just keeping the museum security on their toes," she said. "I'll be sure to catch you alone next time." And with that, she made her escape. Jason strongly suspected she'd only robbed the museum to check in on Batman's well-being. The statue she'd stolen wasn't even shiny or cat-themed. "Huh, you fooled Catwoman," Robin commented. "I'm impressed." "How long do I have to do this for again?" "Until Batman and Nightwing are found," Robin replied promptly. There was a touch of anxiety in his voice. Worry. "You got any leads?" Jason asked. His voice came out much gentler than he intended. "Not really," Robin sighed. "We know roughly where they disappeared, but all the tech in the area cut out for an hour around where they went missing. The cameras were out, and we didn't see any vehicles coming or going. No planes or helicopters were detected. There was no easy sewer access nearby, no residual magic. They're just gone." "I saw it happen," Red Hood admitted. Robin whipped around to look at him. "You were there?" "I was watching," he said. "I can't tell you much more than you already know, though. I was watching Batman and Nightwing on the edge of my territory when my tech started going wonky. There was a flash of light around them, and they were both gone. I swung over to check. I searched the whole area, and they weren't there anymore. I didn't sense any magic either." "You know magic?" Robin asked, completely floored by this revelation. "Not really. I can just do a thing or two." "Huh," Robin said. "I wouldn't have expected that." Trust me, I was surprised too. Jason's time with the all-cast still felt like a bit of an acid trip sometimes. Robin opened his mouth, probably to ask another question, but a series of gunshots cut him off. Time to get back to work then. Jason's first patrol as Batman had gone surprisingly smoothly. The evening after, Jason patrolled as Red Hood again. Over the next few weeks, he had alternated, though not with any sort of pattern, and occasionally split one night between both identities to mix things up. He had his underlings covering some of his patrols as well, and he trusted his crew, But he wasn't going to forget about his people in crime alley so he could play act as Batman. Still, so far things have been working out surprisingly well. Pretending to be Batman was easy. If he was ever unsure about how to respond to something, he could just grunt or growl and no one would seem to suspect a thing. He'd even answered the bat signal a few days ago and gotten to perform the disappearing act on Commissioner Gordon. The whole thing was incredibly nostalgic, despite how different it was to be answering the signal as the big bat himself. Tonight was a Batman night. So far, it was a very routine patrol, except for the fact that Robin looked like he was about to fall asleep standing up. The kid always looked tired, but this is something else. What's more, it was a school night. Jason had never patrolled late on a school night. Didn't this kid care about his education at all? Jason hadn't been bothered by Robin's tiredness or education at first, but he'd been starting to care about the kid a little. The kid was likable, okay? Just the right mix of earnest and snarky, and no one else seemed to be looking out for him much. Jason would definitely be stepping over some professional boundaries if he pried into Robin's life. But when Jason decided to care about something, it was difficult to hold himself back. "You got a sleep disorder or something, kid?" "What?" Robin asked, snapping to his attention. "You look like you're about to keel over almost every time I see you. You got a sleep disorder?" "I'm just busy," Robin huffed. "With what?" Robin leveled a glare at him. "You know, everything. Life, school, Robin, helping Lucius cover for Bruce at Wayne Enterprises, searching for Bruce and Dick. Everything." "Yeah, that'd do it." "Running yourself ragged isn't sustainable. You gotta help yourself before you can help others. Let's have a look at your schedule to see what we can rejig to get you some more sleep." "Who the hell asked you anyway? Mind your own business." Jason snorted. "If you make a mistake during patrol due to sleep deprivation, then it becomes my business. Come on, Oracle, help me out here." "I hate to agree with the crime lord, but he does have a point," Oracle chimed in. "Thanks," Jason chirped. "Let's try that without the first part next time." "Nope." "Look," Robin cut in. "Everything I have to do is important, so unless you want to write my English essay for me, you can shut up about my schedule." "You have an English essay due?" Jason asked. "When?" "Not telling." "It's due tomorrow," Oracle said. "Snitch," Robin grumbled. "Tomorrow?" Jason repeated incredulously. "Why are you patrolling with me if you have an English essay due tomorrow? That's it. We're cutting patrol short." "What?" Robin demanded. "But Gotham—" "We'll still be here tomorrow. We're going back to the cave, and I'm going to help you write that English essay. And then you're going to bed, young man. You can't tell me what to do. You're not my dad. But I am your Batman. And I'm saying patrol is over." Jason never thought he'd be the one playing that card. He tried not to feel too gleeful about it. "That's not—" Robin tried. "I will see you both soon, then," Alfred cut in. Jason saw Robin deflate at Alfred's subtle order. "See you soon, Agent A," Jason confirmed. "What the fuck is even happening?" Robin said. "Now you know how I feel when you came at me with a PowerPoint. Karma's a bitch." "You're a bitch," Robin mumbled. "Heard that, you little shit. You were supposed to." Tim Drake made a mistake. He had known even at the time that asking a crime lord, albeit a probably well-intentioned one, to fill in for Batman would probably backfire. Tim had considered a lot of worst-case scenarios that could stem from recruiting Red Hood, many of which included Red Hood thoroughly betraying him, and some of which involved Batman being so furious with Tim's recruiting decision that he fired Tim immediately upon returning. Tim had weighed the risks against the reward and decided that he was desperate enough to proceed with the plan. If Tim knew anything, it was that Gotham needed Batman and Robin. He had believed this for as Batman and Robin had existed, and he had the evidence to back it up. Tim had been desperate, and Red Hood had been competent, fairly heroic, correctly proportioned, and, most crucially, actively present. Tim had carefully considered what could go wrong and came up with dozens of fail-safes to enact if such things were to occur. Tim thought the situation would be risky, but that he had accounted for all the possible problems. Tim was wrong. None of Tim's fail-safes accounted for Red Hood trying to bully him into getting more sleep. He had not accounted for Red Hood, Oracle, and Alfred deciding to gang up on him. He had not accounted for Red Hood rearranging his schedule and redistributing some of his responsibilities. Delegation is key, baby bird. He had not accounted for Red Hood wanting to hunker down in the Batcave with him and help him with his homework. He had certainly not accounted for Red Hood having such passionate views about the Great Gatsby. The man had ranted about it for almost an hour as he helped Tim rework his essay. Tim had even seen Alfred tearing up a bit in the background, and if it were anyone else, Tim would have assumed they were getting emotional. But the only thing Tim had felt like crying over was boredom, and Alfred was always professional, so he must have gotten some dust in his eyes or something. Tim could conclusively say that recruiting Red Hood had been a mistake. But the worst part, the absolute bane of all of this, was that Tim felt fucking fantastic. He hadn't gotten this much sleep in years. He was no longer nodding off in class. His mental health had improved, and the slight sniffle he'd had for 3 months had gone away. His grades were higher. English as a subject was finally starting to make some goddamn sense. His reflexes in combat had gotten faster. Somehow, his productivity was up? How? How was his productivity up when Red Hood had taken away a third of his work? Tim was decisively furious about this turn of events. With results like those, Tim was now forced to prioritize sleep of all things. What a stupid concept. Then there was the fact that this random crime lord was looking out for Tim's well-being more successfully than any other person ever had. That was just sad. Tim was trying to avoid thinking about it. Stupid fucking sleep schedule. Alright guys, now that's the end of chapter 3 of The Right Substitution is Key by Addicted Apple. I hope you guys liked it, and that's the next chapter.